Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
Narayanam Namaskrutyam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devi Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Hare Krishna. We are reading Shrimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, chapter number 2, titled as Remembrance of Lord Krishna, text number 16. Uddhav ji is reciting this text. We see, we read in the past few shlokas how Vidurji asked the questions about well-being of Lord Krishna and his family members. As soon as Uddhavji heard word Krishna, he got lost into the thoughts of Krishna. Why? Because his mind was absorbed in Krishna. Mind has to be absorbed in Krishna consciousness, otherwise mind can give real trouble. And that is why we learn from Uddhavji here how can we keep our mind always engaged in thoughts of Krishna. Our mind has to be always busy thinking about Krishna's devotees, and about Krishna's pastimes. So here, Uddhavji is teaching by his personal example how can we remember always Krishna. The purpose of human life is to remember Krishna. They say always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. So how do we do that? We can do that by Satatam Kirtayantam Mamyatantascha Dhradvrata. Satatam means always. Always means every second of the time we should think about Lord Krishna, Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's paraphernalia, Krishna's name, form, beauty, all those things. So in the previous shloka, yesterday we read that Uddhavji is talking about how beautiful Krishna looks like. So Krishna's smile and beauty was so powerful that it enchanted even the demigods. They got attracted to Krishna. And Krishna's appearance is not like a appearance of a human being. We are forced to take birth, but Krishna is not forced to take birth. Krishna's birth is Janma Karma Cha Me Divyam. Whenever Lord Krishna and his different incarnations they appear out of their own sweet will. It is not that Lord Krishna is forced to take birth. Lord Krishna comes and he decides what form he wants to come, what parents he wants to have. Everything is decided by Lord Krishna. So here in next shloka, Uddhavji is saying, Mam khedyati tad ajasya janma vidamban yad vasudeva gehe vraje cha vaso ari bhaya adiva swayam purad vyavasitad yad ananta viryaha. Translation. Lord Krishna's appearance is mentioned here with special reference. Here Uddhavji is saying to Uddhavji says, when I think of Lord Krishna, how he was born in prison house of in the prison house of Vasudeva. Although he is unborn, how he went away from his father's protection to Raj and lived there incognito out of fear of the enemy. And how, although unlimitedly powerful, he fled from Mathura in the fear. All these bewildering incidents give me distress. So here Uddhavji is remembering about two times when Lord Krishna had to leave his original place in the fear of Kamsa. One, when he was immediately born and Lord Krishna was transferred from Mathura to Raj under the protection of Nanda Maharaj. And second time when Jarasandha was repeatedly attacking Mathura. Lord Krishna's another name is Ranachod Rai. Ranachod means one who defeated Jarasandha for 16 times, and when 17 times he attacked, Lord Krishna had a plan actually. He had a plan to deliver his devotee Muchukunda, and he wanted to protect the Brajvasis of Mathura as well, and he wanted to establish Dwarka. So many things, but Lord Krishna fled from Mathura, went to Dwarka. So a lot of people call Ranachod. Lord Krishna is called as, people call Lord Krishna as Ranachod, but he is not Ranachod. But apparently, this looks like that Krishna lived, and out of fear he ran away from the battlefield, but which was not the case. So here Uddhavji is thinking that when I think of Krishna, it gives me distress. Thinking of Krishna and distress, that doesn't go hand in hand. Thinking of Krishna always gives you relaxation. Thinking of Krishna gives you peace. But here Uddhavji is saying that, oh, when I think of Krishna in this particular instance, why he had to run away, then he says that it gives me a little stress. Devotees always are anxious about Krishna. They think Krishna is their son, Krishna is their father, whatever the bhava you are here.
The father who is afraid of the fear of death. But Krishna is not that.
Yeah, but
He is anything.
still Lord Krishna is being Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Uddhavji is thinking like that. Let's read what Srila Prabhupada wants to say about this, and then we'll discuss about this. Because Lord Krishna is the original person from whom everything and everyone has emanated. Aham sarvasya prabhava matha sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajanti ma buddha bhava samanvita. That is from 10.8. And then in Vedanta Sutra, Janmadhyachayata nivaditarascha artheshu bhigna swarata tene brahmaradadi kavai muyyanti yata suryaha tejovari yatha vidmyo yatruti sargam rusha dhamna svena sada nirastakokam Satyam Param Dhimahi. So here we can see that everything is coming from Krishna. Krishna is the original source. Nothing is equal or greater than Krishna. So this is very important actually. That Krishna is the source of everything in this world we are seeing, living, non-living, uh, among the living also different types of living entities like human, Devi Devtas, animals, birds, insects, reptiles, and then the non-living things, various types like 24 elements, earth, water, air, fire, ether, and mind, intelligence, ego, and then Gnanendriyas, Karmendriyas, all those elements, everything is coming from Krishna. Even Brahma is coming from Krishna. Nothing, even though everything comes from Krishna, everything is not equal to Krishna. Or nothing is greater than Krishna. So even though human being or Devi Devtas, they come from Krishna, it does not mean that anything coming from Krishna is equal to him. Because Krishna is the source of it. So source cannot be equal to a tiny fragment of it. Like a drop of ocean cannot be equal to ocean. That is the analogy here. Or drop cannot be greater than ocean. So all the Devi Devtas, they are derived from Lord Krishna. So how can they be equal or greater than Krishna? Which is not possible. The Lord is supremely perfect, and whenever he enacts his transcendental pastimes as a son, as a rival, or an object of enmity, he plays the part so perfectly that even the pure devotee like Uddhavas are bewildered. For example, Uddhav knew perfectly well that Lord Krishna is eternally existent and can never die nor disappear for good. Yet he lamented for Lord Krishna. So sometimes Lord Krishna's pastimes are bewildering to not only non-devotees but even to the people who have surrendered to Krishna. So here one analogy given is Lord Krishna's disappearance from this material world. Lord Krishna disappeared, and apparently when Lord Krishna left this material world, the reason was a small arrow coming from a hunter hitting his greater toe of left foot. I mean, Lord Krishna had taken so many arrows in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Bhishma Pitama threw so many arrows. Some of the arrows hit Lord Krishna himself. Nothing happened to him at that time. So how can a small arrow hitting a great toe of his feet can damage or harm Lord Krishna, which is not possible. But it is a bewildering for all of us, you know. But that is what Lord Krishna wants to do. His pastimes are bewildering for all of us, and that is why His Supreme Personality of Godhead. It cannot be understood with the material senses. No matter how hard we try to understand Lord Krishna's name, form, quality, pastimes using our mind has a limitation. Our mind will never be able to fathom the depth of the creation of the material universe. Like, can you count the number of stars in the sky? It's not possible. Our mind cannot reach that number. So our mind has very limitation. So with this limited mind, if you try to understand unlimited, it is impossible. For example, grade 1 child trying to know the maths of engineering college, which is not possible because he has a limited intelligence. Similarly, we have very tiny knowledge, and with this tiny knowledge, if we try to judge Krishna, the Supreme Creator, it will not be possible. All the scientific experiments will fail because you're trying to judge unlimited by your limited knowledge, which is not going to be possible. So, Uddhavji, even though he was a pure devotee, he got mesmerized by Lord Krishna's pastimes. All these events are perfect arrangements to give perfection to his supreme glories. It is for enjoyment's sake. And whose enjoyment? Lord Krishna is performing all these pastimes for whose enjoyment? For his own personal enjoyment. Lord Krishna is the enjoyer. We are all servants of Krishna. We are being enjoyed by the Krishna. So devotees are always there for pleasure of Krishna. Devotees never want to enjoy by themselves. Like a mother enjoys, but how does she enjoy? She enjoys by serving child. Mother does not enjoy by herself. Like, it's never happens that mother eats the food and child remains hungry and then mother enjoys it. That never happens. The mother is more happy when she feeds the food to the child. She may remain hungry, it doesn't matter to her, and that is her enjoyment. Similarly, a devotee's enjoyment is not their own sense enjoyment. The devotee's enjoyment is Lord Krishna's enjoyment. So when the devotees they took pain for service of Krishna, that pain was actually pleasure. For example, in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Bhishma Pitamaha, uh, he took so many arrows in his body, and Bhishma Pitamaha was literally sleeping in the bed of arrows. Now, how much pain that could be? But for Bhishma Pitamaha, that was a pleasure because uh, he had requested Krishna. He had vowed that if Lord Krishna doesn't pick up his bow and arrow, he doesn't break his vow, then he will kill Arjuna. So Lord Krishna had to take his chakra actually that time. So here we can see that Lord Krishna, and he wanted to see that form of Krishna, and where with Krishna, Lord Krishna having the weapon is in his hand. So when Bhishma Pitama saw that darshan of Lord Krishna, Bhishma Pitama was so happy that he said, "That doesn't matter now. I can take darshan of Krishna. Let the arrows come and hit my body." So for devotees, pain is enjoyment when the pain is for the service of Krishna. And Lord Krishna's enjoyment is everything for the devotees. Yes, it is for Krishna's enjoyment. That is what is. So our life is for pleasing Krishna. So devotees does not want to dress up themselves very nicely, but their desire to dress up them nicely is transformed into dressing the deities very nicely. हम ऐसा नहीं चाहते कि हम अच्छे कपड़े पहने, हम ऐसे चाहते हैं कि भगवान सबसे अच्छे कपड़े पहले हमें ऐसा नहीं चाहिए कि हमारा घर बड़ा चाहिए, हमें ऐसा है कि भगवान का घर बड़ा हो। हमें ऐसा नहीं कि हमें बहुत अच्छा खाना चाहिए, हमें ऐसा है कि भगवान को सबसे अच्छा से अच्छा खाना मिले। तो हमारा जो जीवन है वो भगवान की सुख के बाजू इन्वॉल्व होना चाहिए। When father plays with his little son and father lies down on the floor as if defeated by the son, it is just to give little son pleasure and nothing more. This is very important. So father and little child are playing something and father acts as if he is defeated. Now father cannot be defeated by little boy, but father does that. Why? Because he wants to please his son. And that son's pleasure is the father's pleasure. Similarly, when Lord Krishna he runs away from the battlefield sometimes to increase the anxiety or to give pleasure to his devotees. So sometimes Lord Krishna's defeat is also him trying to satisfy his devotees. Because the Lord is all powerful, it is possible for him to adjust opposites such as birth and no birth, power and defeat, fear and fearlessness. So here, Lord Krishna, everybody is feared of Krishna, and Lord Krishna is feared of Mother Yashoda. Yashoda. How is that possible? पूरी दुनिया भगवान से डरती है और भगवान यशोदा माता से डरते हैं, ये कैसे पॉसिबल है? तो यही है भगवान की अचिंत्य भेदाभेद शक्ति। हाँ, इसको कहते हैं चैतन्य महाप्रभु उसका समझाते हैं साइमल्टेनियसली वन बट डिफरेंट। हाँ, तो लॉर्ड कृष्णा इज फियरफुल बट इज नॉट फियरफुल। Yeah, so sometimes when you try to understand Krishna, it is very difficult if you try to understand him by the mundane senses. भगवान को समझना ये जन्म तो काफ़ी नहीं है, बहुत बहुत जन्म लग जाएंगे भगवान को समझने के लिए। A pure devotee knows very well how it is possible for Lord to adjust the opposite things. But he laments for the non-devotees who, not knowing the supreme glories of the Lord, think of him as imaginary simply because there are so many apparently contradictory statements in the scriptures. तो कभी कभी भगवान के भक्त जो है वो भी दुखी हो जाते हैं। वो तो भगवान को समझते हैं, लेकिन वो कहते हैं कि दुख इसलिए है कि जो अभक्त है वो क्या भगवान को समझ पाएंगे। जैसे कि भगवान ने गोवर्धन की लीला उठाई, गोवर्धन पर्वत उठा लिया। लॉर्ड कृष्णा लिफ्टेड द गोवर्धन ऑन द little finger of his left hand and for 7 days and 7 nights. Now for some people this is an imaginary thing. लोग कहते हैं ये mythology है, ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता, is it possible? So ये फिर क्या कहते हैं कि ये तो भगवान की मन घड़ित कहानियाँ, ऐसे कोई हुआ ही नहीं था। लेकिन प्रभुपाद जी बहुत अच्छी तरह समझाते हैं कि जो भगवान पूरी दुनिया को, ये अर्थ है, कितने सारे प्लैनेट्स हैं, इतने सारे planets, all these planetary systems are floating even without touching. How they are floating? By the mercy of Krishna. So the person who can keep all these planets floating without even touching, for him to lift a little mountain by touching is a very small feat. But people do not understand Lord Krishna. Factually, there is nothing contradictory. Everything is possible when we understand the Lord as Lord and not as one of us with all our imperfections. So this is very important. Our body is imperfect actually. Our eyes are imperfect, our ears are imperfect, our nose is imperfect, our tongue is imperfect. Why I am saying imperfect? Because our senses have limited capacity. So with the eyes, how far we can see? I cannot see beyond this wall. And with eyes even, for me, sun might look like a small coin with these eyes.
Might look oval, might look square.
Yeah, so, but then whatever I see with the eyes is not true. Because even though sun appears to be small disk, it is much bigger, a million billion times bigger. Sometimes with our ears we hear something, but which is not true actually. Somebody says half sentence, then we might hear something different. Or with our tongue, like say if you eat sugar and then you eat orange, then orange taste is different. If you eat salt and then you eat orange, the orange feels very tasty or sweet. So our tongue is also not perfect. Our temperature, like when you come from the cold environment and you touch the normal temperature water, it will feel as hot. While when you come from hot weather and you touch the normal temperature water, it will feel as cold. Just because your senses are imperfect, your perceptions are also imperfect. The water is neither hot or cold, but it is just that you came from outside with a different temperature, so the water is felt different. So our senses, with this limited senses, if you try to judge unlimited, then we will fail. So Prabhupada is saying that if you really want to understand the Lord, you have to understand it through the eyes of devotees, through the knowledge of the devotees. Then only we can understand Lord
First
Krishna.
is to do the Mahamantra. And you can see here my arms are in my body.
Yes.
I wanted to do that Mahamantra to be chanted.
Yes, yes, yes. I remember that one. Srila Prabhupada always praised about constant chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram,